No, I can hear you. Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Square State Sandlot. I'm your host, Ben Montoya. Joining me again today is Raph. Got quite a bit to talk about with the NFL playoffs that are about to start in about 2 hours. So we'll get into the matchups and how we see them going down. I actually wrote an article recently about the Raiders and where I think they'll go from here. So catch that if you haven't yet. It's posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Um, Raph, anything you wanted to touch on before we jump in?
No, no, we can get started.
So we'll get to the game that actually starts in about 2 hours, and I guess we should mention that the Steelers and Bills game has been postponed. It was supposed to be the first game tomorrow at 11 Mountain Time, and they have moved it to Monday at 4:30, which 4:30 Eastern time, 2:30 Mountain, which really sucks. But we'll get into that matchup. Just thought we would touch on that to begin with. Kind of surprised that Kyle didn't pop in so he could discuss his Steelers, but we'll get to his picks as well. So, Raph, in the first game, we have the Browns and Texans. How do you see that one going, and who do you think the keys to that game will be?
I think the Browns will take it. They've been very surprising this year. I mean, I guess the Texans have been surprising as well. I feel like the Browns are a little bit more surprising given the quarterback situation's been back and forth.
Yeah, it's been very strange to me that like they bring in Joe Flacco and that's a successful thing, but like his strengths are very accentuated by that system that Kevin Stefanski runs. So I don't know that we should have been surprised, but obviously picking him up off the couch and throwing him into that and it working is a little bit surprising to me. So you did pick the Browns to win that one. Kyle picked who did Kyle pick? Kyle picked the Browns as well. And then I also picked the Browns. I do think it'll be a lot closer. I don't know what the lines are in this game, but I do think it'll be a very close game. CJ Stroud has been amazing in his rookie season. D'Amico Ryans also rookie season as a head coach. Just it's been amazing what they've done, especially with what you looked at last year. I mean, they obviously had the second pick in the draft because they were not a good team. So you swap out Lovie Smith and his parting gift to win that last game to give them the second pick, which looks to be a blessing in disguise. You know, everyone was talking how it was a parting jab, myself included, for them to win that game and potentially cost them Bryce Young. But with them not taking Bryce Young and how he's done in Carolina, it looks like what with CJ Stroud and what he was able to do, it looks like they definitely won that exchange. So obviously apples to oranges comparison there with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud and what they've been put into. But I've been very impressed with what they've been able to do. And honestly, I was very close to taking the Texans in this one, especially with them being at home. I just think with what the Browns have on defense and then Joe Flacco coming in and, you know, I don't want to say just being a game manager because he's been far from that. I mean, he looks like he's revived himself at 38 years old, but it's been very impressive with what they've been able to do with that offense. So you have the Browns. Do you think it'll be a close game, or do you think they'll blow out the Texans?
It's going to be close in my opinion.
Mine is while we're talking about it.
But yeah, it's the way Flacco has been playing. It's making the Jets probably wonder where was that guy.
Well, and that's the thing is I think his representation, his agent, broached the Jets and said, "Would you have any interest in signing him?" Before he went to the Browns, and they said no. So it's kind of surprising to me with the situation that they were in, especially with Aaron Rodgers being down, Zach Wilson not playing well, and then just a bevy of bad quarterbacks on the roster behind those two, that they didn't at least have some interest in bringing him back. But hindsight's 2020, I suppose. I don't think he would have had the impact that he's had on the Browns or on the Jets that he has had on the Browns. So I think it's just one of those things that lined up for the benefit of the Browns, definitely. So I just looked at the line, and as of right now, they're showing the Browns are. Oh no, sorry. It opened as Browns 1.5 point favorites, so it is thought to be a close game by Vegas. So, any key matchups in this game that you're looking at? I think it's -2 right now for the Browns in favor of.
Not particularly. I just, I'm impressed and surprised by the Texans, and I haven't been paying that much attention to how their defense lines up. Um, but Flacco was making some good throws to Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
I
those
I
two
don't know the Texans secondary, so I don't know what they have. So
those two look like they are a match made in heaven for sure. Amari Cooper and Joe Flacco. They have been just destroying. In fact, that was the reason. Was it you I was playing in that game? No, I can't remember who I was playing in the semifinals round. They beat me just on Amari Cooper alone. So I ended up taking third in our podcast league, which I suppose we should mention that as well. I can't even remember. I think
it's
it
all
was
right.
Robert Martinez won it, right?
I didn't look at the winner. I got fourth in both of them.
And
So
so we know it wasn't you. No, it wasn't me. Let's see. I'll look it up real quick. Got it somewhat handy here. Yes, Robert Martinez was first. Charles Atkinson took second, and then me, I took third. So Kyle did order the plaque, so that'll be on that trophy that we have for the annual podcast league. Robert's name will be cemented in history for our podcast league. So thanks, Kyle, for getting that ordered. Okay, so yeah, I think Denzel Ward. I know he was banged up. I think they said he's going to go. I think that's one of the. If he's not able to go, I think that's going to help out the Texans offense. But like you said, defense, although it is led by D'Amico Ryans and they have made some strides, I don't think they're necessarily a lockdown defense. And I do believe in the Browns defense. They've shown us all season that they're able to shut down opponents. So I think it ultimately comes down to if CJ Stroud is able to expose that defense. And Laramie Tunsil, I don't know if he's going to play in this game. I think he is. He was banged up. So obviously, whoever they've got going up against Myles Garrett is going to be that's going to be a huge matchup. If Myles Garrett's able to get to CJ Stroud, I don't think it'll really matter who's playing defense on the back end. But I'm excited to watch this game. I really think it'll be close. Over under was 43, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it go under on that. But it'll be exciting to see what CJ Stroud's able to do in his first ever playoff appearance. And I really think they're building something special there in Houston. So I think they're a little bit ahead of schedule where we thought they would be. I thought they would make some strides with CJ Stroud as their quarterback, but I definitely did not envision them having 10 wins and making the playoffs. So for
neither did
Houston,
I.
yeah, for Houston, I think it's probably you're happy to be there. Where the Browns are also in that they haven't been to the playoffs and had sustained playoff success in their history. So I think both of these teams are probably happy to be here, but we'll see which team is able to pull ahead. And the Browns, I really think they are set up for a playoff run with that defense, and as long as Flacco can keep it up how he's been playing, I think they're going to be a dangerous team for any of the remaining teams in the playoffs. So I've got the Browns here as well, but like I said, I think it'll probably be a close game. Like Vegas is predicting 1.5, 2 point game. So, all right, the second game, which is a Peacock exclusive, which is just asinine to me. I think this is what we actually brought this up. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but there were some.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, there were some rumblings that the NFL was looking to do pay-per-view playoffs, and this is their first foray into it. So I think if it's successful and they have a lot of signups on the Peacock platform, they may look at doing some more stuff like this with Amazon Prime video, or potentially even actual pay-per-view with having to sign up through your cable provider, or I think a lot of those options are streaming now as well. But
I thought I
Dolphins
saw
and
something
Chiefs.
about it also being on the NFL Network, but like streaming,
So
but or something. But
they did have a rule that it has to be broadcasted in the local network or local area. So yeah, like you said, in Miami and in Kansas City. It will be broadcast on, I don't know if it's NFL Network, CBS, what it is. It's probably NBC because that's the Peacock
Okay.
platform. But so those local markets will get it, but everyone else will have to either subscribe to Peacock
Got
or
it.
find another method to watch it. We won't mention any of those, but if you're looking to watch the Dolphins and Chiefs game, which I think they said the wind chill is supposed to be -30 in that game, and potential snow, so it's going to be not a pretty game. But I don't think it's a coincidence that they put this game behind the pay-per-view option with the Chiefs, getting all them Swifties to sign up. So what do you think about the game itself? Do you think this game matches up well for either of the teams?
Well,
I guess who did you pick?
I picked the Chiefs, unfortunately. I didn't want to, but I did. I mean, the Chiefs don't really have a passing game, so the cold weather won't matter too much. And the Dolphins have so many starters out on
Yes,
defense to stop the Kansas City run game. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Dolphins.
Yeah, unfortunately same thing. I picked the Chiefs as well. I didn't want to, but I really think all the things are aligning for them to win this game, where it's going to be a running game, and obviously I haven't seen the health of Mostert. I know he missed the last game. Have you seen if he's going to play or not?
Last I saw, I think he was still questionable.
So we don't know yet. And they won't announce if he's going to play or not until 90 minutes before the game if he's a true game time decision. So that's going to be a huge part of it. Obviously Achane is
known 15 minutes then.
No, they played the late game.
Oh, okay, I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's the 6 p.m. or I guess 4 p.m. our time. No, it is 6 p.m. our time. So we won't know probably for 4 more hours or so. But Achane's a great running back, but he is very slight build, so I don't know that you can rely on him to take the carries, throughout the entire game. He was averaging, I think, 8 yards per carry in the regular season, so that's astronomical. But I think Isaiah Pacheco was definitely getting the run game going towards the end of the season with the Chiefs. And, I can't remember if they're getting McKinnon back, but they have several options on the Chiefs for running the football. And cold weather, if you're the Miami Dolphins, the way that you've won all these games so far in this season has been quick passing game to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I don't know that those options are necessarily going to be there when it's snowing and that cold, and then you've got the wind that's going to be an issue as well. So all of those things, plus, like you mentioned, Dolphins lost Bradley Chubb. Can't remember if it's the last game of the season or the game before that. I think it was the game before that, meaningless game. In fact, I think they were down big, and they still had him out there playing defense for some reason. And that's when he tore his ACL or Achilles. I can't remember what he injured, but so losing Chubb, and then they had Good that went down as well in the Bills game. So they're down to like 2 healthy defensive ends. They did sign Melvin Ingram, and I can't remember who the other option was that they signed, but they brought in just guys off the couch to come play defensive end for them in this game. So I think with all those things that have lined up, and obviously Miami being a warm weather city, I think it just lines up well for the Chiefs to win this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they win it by 10, honestly, because honestly, Miami hasn't been playing well at all at the end of the season. So unfortunate events that are leading up to it, but I think they get bounced pretty handily by the Chiefs. And you know me, I don't like praising the Chiefs at all. I don't like predicting them to win, but I think that's what's going to happen. So anything else to say?
I'm thinking like 17-7 or something like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It's a low scoring game. I think I went a little bit higher. I was thinking more of like a 24-14 game, but that's obviously the 10-point spread there. I don't know why it's so hard to get playoff spreads here. Like, I can only get it if I go to the specific game. I don't know why it doesn't just have. There we go.
I went to ESPN and then under scores, and it has the spread for each one.
I just found it, but you know me, I don't like using ESPN. So ESPN does have it at a 4.5 point line for the Chiefs' favor, and yeah, I don't know why. I feel like it'll, like I said, I think it'll be a lot bigger spread than that, just because all the things that the Dolphins have going up against them. You do have the Tyreek Hill revenge game narrative, but I think they've already played this season, haven't they?
Waddle, they played in like London, I think, or Germany, or
yeah. And Waddle, I think he's out. I mean, he got that high ankle sprain second to last game of the season, so he missed the Bills game. Wouldn't be surprised to see him miss this one either. I don't know why it's so hard to find the people that are going to be in or out for these games either. But anyway, apparently they want the suspense leading up to the game. Okay, so we'll move on to what was supposed to be the next game, and that is the Steelers and the Bills, which will now be the early game on Monday. Who do you have in this one?
I got the Bills. Steelers got lucky making it to the playoffs.
I still can't believe that they won 10 games. If you look how bad their offense was all season, and their defense was just able to score some points and keep them competitive, it's crazy to me that they won 10 games. I don't know how else to say it.
It just amazes me that they're there. Sure, winning record, yes, but playoffs, I'm like.
So you have Bills. Do you think it'll be a big win or close game? How do you see this one? And we should mention T.J. Watt. He's out for this game for sure. I think they'll get Minkah Fitzpatrick back. I don't know that they've announced it yet, but I have heard some rumblings that he's expected to play. So,
I don't know how much better the weather will be on Monday compared to whatever it is right now. But
so it was supposed to be 30s. I think probably into the 20s by game time, but the wind chill was going to be ridiculous, and then you had snow, and you had up to 65-mile-an-hour gusts. So the main reason they moved it, obviously, is for the travel considerations, because they were already talking about flights getting canceled going into Buffalo. Roads were going to be very difficult to navigate. So I don't think that the weather, it's going to be colder than it was supposed to be for the Sunday night game, or Sunday morning game, excuse me. But I don't think there will be quite the wind factor, and snow is supposed to be negligible. So I think in terms of what they're going to be exposed to, that you won't have the wind as much a factor, which I think favors the Bills. If they're not going up against the wind, then they can actually pass the football. But cold, it's going to be just as cold, and snow will be there, but probably not as much.
The Bills for sure. TJ Watt kind of is the defense, and it says he's out till the 20th. And then the Buffalo Bills injury report doesn't seem too terrible either. So.
Oh, do you have that pulled up?
Yeah, it says Gabe Davis is out. Taylor Rapp, their safety, is out. Then Rasul Douglas, cornerback, questionable, and Tyrell Dodson, linebacker, questionable.
So they've been dealing with safeties being out all year between Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and Taylor Rapp. And you've seen, you've seen them overcome it, essentially. They are missing Matt Milano still, but they did get DaQuan Jones back last week, so that's a huge addition to that interior defensive line. So if Taylor Rapp can't play, I don't think that's as big a deal if Boyer and Hyde are good to go. And then if Rasul Douglas can't go, he's sneakily like one of their major weapons in the backfield, because I mean they didn't have any cornerbacks they could go to if Johnson wasn't able to go. You know, they've had several injuries in that defensive backfield all season. So when they picked up Douglas, that was a huge trade, and I think that kind of tipped. At the time, they were dealing with the Milano injury, the DeQuan Jones injury. All that stuff was fresh when they brought him in. So being able to have him has been huge for their defense. And Gabe Davis being out is actually a huge hit for their offense as well. He's always that deep threat that's finding spots in the zones. And I mean, last playoffs, he had 4 touchdowns in one game? I think it was 3. So he's that major threat. I mean, Diggs and Allen haven't been on the same page basically since week 6. So losing Gabe Davis is a huge hit. Dawson Knox came back at the right time. He's healthy. And then you have Dalton Kincaid. Those 2 tight ends are amazing for them. And you have Playoff Lenny. Playoff Lenny's coming back.
Davis is, I mean, I don't know. How many weeks has it been since Davis had a good game? Is he due? Because it's like every 3 or 4. So
yeah, it is. But, well, he's out. So, you know. And like I said, if you look at his production last playoffs, it was astronomical. So missing that, especially in one of these snow-type games, I don't know. I just feel like if they can run the football, which is honestly Pittsburgh's specialty, between Harris and, Warren? James? Something Warren, right? Who's their other running back?
yeah,
I think it's Warren.
it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's definitely with the W.
Who's running backs? I hate when I have the brain farts and I can't think of the players' names. I mean, obviously, Jaylen Warren. That's right. So Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. So if the Steelers are able to run the ball, I think it's going to be closer than people think. But if Diggs and Allen can get on the same page, you've got the 2 tight ends, and like I said, you've got playoff Lenny Fournette coming back. You've got Cook. As long as he can hold on to the football and not fumble it, he can be a factor. And then you've got Josh Allen in the run game and pass game as well. I just feel like everything favors the Bills, especially with TJ Watt out. But I mean, we've seen all season, the Steelers have kept it close in just about every game. And as long as they can keep it close, they've got that chance to come back and win it at the end. So for me, I think the winning formula for the Bills is they've got to get out to a lead and just hold on to it. I mean, you can't have Josh Allen forcing balls to try to make big plays to make up a difference. So if the Steelers jump ahead, I wouldn't be surprised to see them, hold on and win it, even though they don't have the talent, especially at quarterback, to compete in theory with the Bills. But I do think the Bills will, especially Josh Allen after that rough game he had in Miami with, I think he had three interceptions in that game. Maybe it was 2 interceptions and a fumble. But he's got to take care of the football. He knows that every time he has one of those games where he gets a little sloppy, the next game he plays really well and takes care of the football. So I think he's going to do everything to keep this team in it. And honestly, I think they'll make a deep playoff run because of the talent they're getting back on the defensive side of the football and just the way that the offense has been running in the last few weeks. I mean, you get behind in Miami, you have all those first quarter interceptions where you should have been up probably 20-0 with the way Miami was playing, and somehow they had a 7-0 deficit, end up coming back and winning it on that punt return for a touchdown, and then obviously Josh goes down and scores a passing touchdown to make it 21-14, and the defense holds on to win it. So I think the Bills are hitting their stride at the right time of the season, and I think that makes them dangerous, especially as that number 2 seed. The only time they would play on the road is if they face the Ravens in the conference championship round. So Anything you want to add to that, other than Kyle picked the Steelers to win this game?
Um,
I
no,
guess
I mean, I think you might have a little more hope for the Steelers than I do, but
I have more hope for the Steelers. You said
I mean, the your take on
okay.
how they could win.
I thought you meant like me hoping for them to win. I was like, oh no, do you not? I'm 100% Josh Allen in this one. Got my Pokes and Bills gear on to support my guy. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I think there is an avenue for the Steelers to make this competitive. And if Josh is turning the football over, then yeah, I think they could win. But I don't. I think that's probably a long shot. I don't think they'll win by 10, which is the line currently. But I think they'll win by at least 4 points. And I guess I should mention as well, there's a lot of talks about Tomlin. He's been with the team for 17 years. They were talking about getting rid of him, especially the Steelers fans were ready to get rid of him after I don't even remember, what was it? They were sitting at 7 wins, and they could pick up a win for another 3 weeks after that, or something like that. So there was a lot of restless Steelers fans getting ready to get rid of him.
They don't know who to be mad at. They're mad at everybody.
Yes, Steelers fans. I've never really interacted with Steelers fans outside of Kyle, but since we started the podcast, and we follow a lot of those people that cover the Steelers and whatnot on social media. Man, there's a lot of angry Steelers fans I never knew. I mean, you guys have 6 Super Bowls and you don't lose ever, so I feel like you're probably doing all right, even if you don't make the playoffs consistently or have deep runs. But
they're spoiled.
Yes, they are very spoiled. So there's a lot of speculation that Tomlin might actually step away if they lose this game and go up to the broadcasting booth, or potentially look for another situation that they could step into. I would be surprised if they fire him if he loses this game, but I guess there's at least some rumblings that he may be looking to make a move to the booth. I think he would do a great job up there, but I don't want to see him leave the sidelines. So whatever that's worth. All right. Go ahead.
Maybe like a fresh start somewhere would be good too.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him, especially if they, agree to mutually part ways. If he takes the season off and waits for a better situation that's in. Load. Oh no, that's not Load. Who is that Niner gang? Is that one of your friends?
I can't see it, so.
Okay, it's on the YouTube page. They said Panthers could use Tomlin, but Tepper is the owner, so that won't work. I disagree. I think my opinion on the Panthers gig is that's the best opening that's out there, just because you've got no expectations. You're going to get paid for 4 years for doing 1 year of work, and no one's going to look at you like you're the problem, because Tepper is the owner and he's impatient and he thinks he knows how to run a football team, and he clearly does not. So I don't think it's going to affect your future outcomes as a potential head coach. So, well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. But I really think, I like that fit for sure. I think he'll end up hiring Ben Johnson and firing him after a year. But, good for Ben. All right, we're moving on to the NFC now. So the next game up would be the Packers and the Cowboys. Who do you have in this
one? Oh, I mean, I don't like either of them. If it could end in a tie, that'd be great. Just eliminate both of them.
I know you said to us you wish that the Niners could eliminate both of these teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't. I think the Cowboys will take it. When the Packers, been rallying towards the end and stuff, but I think the Cowboys just have more going for them, and being at home and stuff that'll help them out. If it was in Green Bay, then I would probably give the edge to the Packers. But
Yeah, I think the Packers on defense have struggled mightily this year, which some of it's lost talent, some of it's knuckleheads like Jair Alexander doing things to get punished by the team. Yeah, and like you said, if it was in Green Bay, I think that probably favors the Packers with what they're able to do with their two running backs. Jordan Love, he's really impressed me this season. But like you said, I think everything in this game favors the Cowboys, especially with them being at home. I don't think the Packers really have a great defense to stop CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. Those guys have been on fire this season. Pollard has had a down year for sure with the Cowboys, but I think they have enough on the defensive side of football to stifle what the Packers are able to do, especially without much of a passing threat. We should see. I mean, I think the Packers have tons of good options at wide receiver, but they've been so banged up at the position, especially down the stretch. Like they've missed Christian Watson, Wilkins. Is it Wilkes or Wilkins? He's been banged up. Dobbs has been banged up. So I mean, they have so many options. Jalen Reed, like all the options have been at least dinged throughout this stretch run. So it's a tip of the hat to them that they've been able to get this far with all of those injuries at key positions. But I just don't think they have the offensive power to keep up with the Cowboys the way that they've been playing down the stretch. So I think this one it's -7 in the Cowboys' favor. I think they probably win by at least that. I would take the over in this game. I would take the Cowboys in this game and the spread there. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see them run away with it. So good season for the Packers. I think they have something to build on, but I think the Cowboys, like I said, I think they win this one handily. And this was one that we all picked. All three of us picked the Cowboys to win. So
I mean, like Love's put up some good numbers for his first full year and stuff. So
I guess I shouldn't call it rookie season, but yeah, first full season at starter. He's
yeah,
3-year pro.
He's shown a lot of promise this year, more than I thought he had. So
yeah. Do you think? I guess just to stay on the coaching theme, if the Packers somehow upset the Cowboys, do you think that they move on from Mike McCarthy in Dallas? There's a lot of rumors tying Belichick to this job, so they said that's why he's not going to rush to make a decision.
I hadn't seen those rumors. I've been so busy. I haven't been paying attention to the coaching stuff too much.
You know why I'm plugged into it. My Raiders have an opening there, so I've been very plugged in with all the coaching rumors, and yeah, I've seen. And I don't know how well Belichick and Jerry Jones have worked together with Jerry Jones wanting to control every aspect of his team. But
I couldn't see that working out too well.
Yeah. But he does want to win, so maybe he would just take a step back and, Belichick has the pelts on the wall, so to speak, to be able to say, I know what I'm doing. You need to back off a little bit. But
it would be interesting. I don't know if I'd like it.
Yeah. I don't know if you would. Okay.
I did see that Max Crosby there was a rumor that he was like, if they don't hire Antonio Pierce, I'm out. But I guess we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in depth on the next episode. Unfortunately, my Raiders aren't in the playoffs, so I don't want to talk about them during this playoff podcast. And for those of you that are new, obviously I'm wearing the Bills stuff and the Wyoming stuff, so the connection there is Josh Allen. I support my guy. He's in the playoffs. So I am a Raiders diehard. I bleed silver and black. But I'm also supporting Josh Allen and the Bills because he's my favorite player in the NFL, because he went to the alma mater there in Wyoming. So next game should be meaningful to you as well. We've got the Rams going into Detroit. Detroit is currently a 3-point favorite. How do you see this one shaking out?
That's like that little homecoming thing that's also happening there. I don't. I'm like, you know, I don't know who is spurned the most. Probably Goff.
Yeah,
Or is Stafford mad that the Lions finally made it to the playoffs and then he wasn't on the team?
yeah. No, that trade has
That's
worked out pretty well for both sides. I would say. I mean, essentially, the core of the Lions roster was made from the picks that they had by trading Stafford to the Rams. Rams obviously have a Super Bowl, and I think they're very well ahead of schedule for what most people thought they would be this season, myself included. I
yep.
thought they would be, a 3-4 win team. I can't remember the exact record that I picked for them, but I thought that they would be one of the bottom three teams in the NFC. And the coaching job that McVay has been able to do, and Raheem Morris on the defensive side of football, like these guys, I think McVay probably wins Coach of the Year for the job that he was able to do. I mean, there's
And then
obviously,
they had a good pickup too with Puka. So
yeah, Puka's great draft choice, which they haven't been drafting because they traded all those picks, but they hit on that one. So no, I think there's tons of narratives. You got the Goff narrative, you've got the Stafford narrative, especially with rumors that the fans were doing a boycott of Stafford jerseys, not allowing them into the stadium and things like that. And Kelly Stafford, Matt's wife, was kind of disappointed by that. But I think you kind of have to put those loyalties aside. Like, obviously, I think the majority of Lions fans were happy to see Matt succeed elsewhere because he put in, 8 years, 8 seasons with Detroit.
yeah, I mean, I don't. I just wanted him to get a Super Bowl ring. I didn't want the rest of the Rams to get one.
Yeah,
But yeah, so
you and that NFC West pettiness. I get it. I don't want to see any of the guys in the AFC West win either. So, um, yeah, I don't know. This one was very tough for me to pick. I think the Rams are playing really good football right now, and the Lions have been struggling a bit. I mean, obviously they're winning games. They had that play in the Cowboys game that probably cost them the 2 seed, and there's that whole conspiracy theory that they
yeah, that
wanted the
was.
Cowboys to have 2 home games in Dallas versus the Lions having 2 home games potentially in Detroit. So um, I don't know what all to do with that, but anyway, I just think
I think a lot of it's going to matter on whether Laporta plays.
yeah,
He's
I mean
questionable still, so
he's such a big part of that offense, and I can't see him playing. I mean, and even if he is, I think he'd be more of a decoy. I can't imagine coming off a bone bruise in your knee, you'd be able to move the way that you need to move in an NFL game, especially where you're a tight end, you're expected to block as well, pushing up
yeah.
against 300-pound dudes trying to get past you. So I can't imagine he'll play, and that's kind of why I figured the Rams would win this game. I took the Rams in this one. I think just the way that they're playing on both sides of the football, going into Detroit where Gibbs was, I mean, he was struggling down the stretch after having such a good rookie season. And for some reason, Campbell basically went away from Montgomery until the last 2 weeks. So we'll see if they figured out that run game. Jameson Williams is a huge threat down the field. They've got him on St. Brown, but I mean, having that relief valve for Goff to go to in Laporta over the middle of the field if he's not seeing what he needs to see downfield. I think that was just such a huge part of their passing game. So I think, and that's why I favored Rams. If Laporta plays and he's able to play at full strength, which I cannot see that happening, but if he does, then I would say I probably lean more towards the Lions. But based off the information we're given right now, I'm going Rams in this one. Who do you have?
I went with the Lions. I think they'll come out pretty aggressive and they're definitely motivated to get this win. I just think they're probably more excited. So as long
Yeah.
as Goff can not throw interceptions a lot, like he had a couple of games towards the end that he was playing terribly, but
Yeah. Well, and Goff does do very well against cover 3, so I think the Rams are probably going to have to change up their coverages a little bit. Goff is one of the few guys that excels in cover 3 or playing against cover 3, so we'll see how they do. If they can get that running game going, it can be deadly between Gibbs. He's essentially the Lightning, and then you got Montgomery, that's the Thunder. So they have a very good 1-2 punch in the running back room. In addition to all those offensive weapons we highlighted, their defense has played very well this season, but I still don't think. I think they're covering up some of it with that offense being on the field as much. So if the Rams are able to, force them to punt and get that defense out on the field a lot more often, I think they'll have some success there. So that's why I went with the Rams. But I wouldn't. I'm definitely cheering for the Lions for sure because I grew up watching Barry Sanders. He was my favorite player in the NFL, even though, like I said, Raiders fan, been my whole life. But Barry Sanders was my favorite player to watch. He was my favorite player to follow. And him retiring early because the Lions could never put a team around him killed me. So definitely that nostalgia, seeing the Lions be able to win a playoff game would be pretty cool. So that's what I'm cheering for, but I think the Rams will win it. Okay, now this one. Oh, I guess I should say that let's see, Kyle has Lions as well, and I forgot to mention that Kyle had picked the Dolphins to beat the Chiefs. So Kyle went with all upsets in the AFC in the wild card round, and then, like you said, Cowboys and Lions so far. So the last game we have to talk about in the divisional round or the wild card round is Eagles and Tampa Bay. I don't even know where to go with this one. I know where your heart's at, so I'll let you go first, and then I'll kind of give my reasoning to why I could see both teams winning, but I'll obviously give a pick.
I mean, it's probably similar to what I'm thinking. Is like the Eagles have fallen so much, like they just can't put a good game together. I mean, and then I am a little bit of a Bucks fan, so I still didn't pick them though. I feel like maybe the Eagles will finally get their head out of there, you know, and they'll win. I still think it'll be close. I mean, I guess ESPN has them by 3, the Eagles. So
yeah, it was 3-point favorites on the road, which kind of surprised me. I'll let me
but,
just
it is the NFC South. So
yeah, let me just preface this. So Eagles' last 5 games, they played Cowboys and lost by 20. Played the Seahawks that were also struggling down at the stretch of the season. They lost by 3 to the Seahawks. They beat the Giants by 8, and then they lost to the Cardinals by 4, and then they lost to the Giants by 17 on the last game of the season. And some might argue that game didn't really mean much since the seeding had already pretty much been determined. But I would argue that as bad as they had played at the tail end of the season, that's a game that you want to use to, help you gain some momentum, help you feel like we can do this. And they just didn't even show up. I mean, it was a really bad game. And then on top of that, you play your starters, and AJ Brown gets hurt, and they have announced that he's not playing this game. So that's
I did not hear that.
Yeah, they just announced it. I think it was this morning. So that's
dang.
I had already made my picks, but I had already
changed my pick.
Yeah. So yes, you can. I mean, you can't do it for the graphic, obviously, but so that's why I'm leaning Tampa Bay in this one. Baker Mayfield has had an absolute great season for what you would have expected the Bucs to do. They obviously win the NFC South, which is not much of an accomplishment because that entire division was a joke. But I just think the way that they were playing towards the tail end of the season, defense is not great, and I think the Eagles will be able to run on them if they want to, and they should because
they definitely can.
Jalen Hurts has been hurt. basically all season. I mean, I don't think he's been on the injury report, but I know he's been dealing with the knee at least part of this season. He made the comment that he hasn't thrown a pass since the Giants game because of his finger that he hurt. So
I was gonna say, like, flipping off the camera.
Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely some concerns on the offensive side of football for the Eagles. They have the offensive line; they can run on this team. They can. So that's what is giving me hesitation in picking the Buccaneers. I already did, but I could see a low-scoring game where the Eagles just run all over the Bucs. They lean on that strength of the offensive line that they do have. I don't know why. I mean, you have people standing outside of Eagles headquarters and their practice facility holding up signs that say run the ball. And you've got their head coach saying, like, yeah, I know we probably should run the ball more, but we ain't going to do it. So I don't know. I feel like Sirianni is coaching for his job. If he doesn't win this game, I think there's a strong chance he gets fired. And we should have seen this coming with the Eagles because they lost both their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. So replacing both in one season is difficult. I mean, replacing one in one off season is difficult to do, but having to basically revamp your entire offense and defense because you lose both your coordinators in Gannon and Steichen, we definitely should have seen this coming. A step back. I definitely didn't. I should have seen it coming. But anyway, I think there is a path for them to win. And like I said, I saw you raise your eyebrows thinking Sirianni's job safe because he's coming off a Super Bowl run. But I really think Philadelphia is one of those towns that they won't be patient. I mean, you saw it with Doug Peterson. He won a Super Bowl, and then within 2 years he was fired. So Sirianni didn't win a Super Bowl, and now his entire game plan and everything has been questioned throughout this entire season. So I think there's a strong possibility of that happening, especially if he gets blown out by the Bucs. So I think he's going to be hungry. I don't know if his team is because I don't think they see much hope, especially without A.J. Brown. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them lay down and get beat. But this one will be
that's a huge blow to morale.
Yeah,
like having their one weapon
gone. Yeah, I mean that's their entire pass game is A.J. Brown. Like I know they have other weapons, but that's the one that they just target every time. So we'll see what they do, but I don't see much hope for this team. Even if they get past the Bucs, I think they're out in the next round for sure. So, all right. So we talked about those games, and that would mean the following matchups. So you've got we both have Browns and Ravens in the next round. Kyle has Steelers and Ravens, which I don't really want to break down how I think each game will go because it doesn't really matter at this point. We'll probably do it week by week for the playoffs. But just so we have our predictions out there, that is what this show is about. Obviously, we wanted to break down the wild card round. But to get our picks out there, I have the Ravens winning against the Browns next week. You have the Ravens beating the Browns next week. And Kyle has the Steelers beating the Ravens next week. And then you and I both have Bills and Chiefs, and both picking Bills. And Kyle has Dolphins beating the Browns. And then on the NFC side,
Kyle's wish list.
Yes. I know that's what you phrased it as. He said he thinks it's going to happen. So I wish he would have been on to defend these picks. And maybe it is, and maybe he's the one laughing next week. But I just think a lot of his picks were far-fetched. Anyway, so next week on the NFC side, we have, I have Rams and Niners with the Niners winning that one. You have Eagles and Niners with the Niners winning that one. And Kyle has Eagles, Niners as well with the Niners winning. So in mine, I have Bucks and Cowboys with the Bucks winning. You have Lions and Bucks with the Lions winning. Oh, sorry, Lions and Cowboys with Lions winning. Kyle also has Lions, Cowboys with the Lions winning. So that brings the conference championship games to Bills at Ravens and Cowboys and Niners for me. So I've got Bills winning that one to advance to the Super Bowl, and then the Niners winning on the NFC side to advance to the Super Bowl. You have Ravens beating the Bills and Niners beating the Lions. So it's the 2-1 seeds in the Super Bowl. And then Kyle has Steelers beating the Dolphins and Lions beating the Niners. So he's got a 7 and a 3 seed there in the Super Bowl. And he's got the Lions beating the Steelers at the end of the season. So I've got Bills winning it all, and you've got Niners winning it all. So all three of us have different champions of the world at the end of the playoff predictions. So definitely it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. And like I said, as the weeks advance, we'll break down the previous week or the previous playoff week matchup. We'll give our predictions for the following week, and then probably 2 episodes next week. Probably have one after the games and breaking down the coaching searches and all that, where we think everything's going to shake out. I think by the time we record again, a lot of these coaches will be in place. A lot of the GM openings will also be in place. So we should have a clearer picture, at least on what's going to happen with some of those. And then, like I said, probably the next one we'll do a playoff prediction for the divisional playoff round, and get into those and really break those down. Hopefully we'll be talking about the Bills next week and the Niners for you. I don't know that I would necessarily agree with that, but, no love lost between the Raiders and the 49ers, so understandable. And Kyle did say that he would be on at some point next week, so I don't know if it'll be for the early week episode or the one right before the playoffs kick off for the following week. But we will talk to you guys soon. Any parting words, Raph?
No, I'm good.
All right. So thank you all that tuned in and commented and made your fandom known. We do appreciate you, and we will catch you on the next episode.